So hopefully, all of us will have some sort of Social Security benefit at some point in time. And understanding how those benefits work and understanding how Social Security works in general is a pivotal component to proper retirement planning. And so, here are three tips when it comes to Social Security. First, your age that you claim impacts how much you earn. Whether you claim early, it's going to reduce your amount that you earn, and the later you claim, the higher your earnings could be potentially. Secondly, is when it comes to spousal benefits, even if your spouse doesn't work or had low earning years, they may be able to claim based on your own benefits, and that does not impact your benefit at all. Or if you are a spouse that hasn't earned as much as your spouse, then you may be able to claim a benefit based on your spouse's earnings, not on your own earnings, which may be higher than your own earnings, but it doesn't impact your spouse's benefit. And the third thing is I'm often asked, when's the right time to claim? That is really tough because we don't know for sure how long one's going to live. But I will say, typically, we want to take a good, hard, long look at your potential longevity to help us guide how to make those decisions. If you have certain health issues or your family does not have a long history of longevity and you have health issues, then that's going to probably impact whether you should claim earlier or not. Looking at the total benefit over your lifetime rather than just the monthly benefits and starting to take it as soon as possible. So those are just a couple tips whenever it comes to understanding your Social Security benefits. Now, let's expand those out a little bit longer. So with the first one, your age. Oftentimes I will meet with somebody and they say, I want to claim as early as possible so that I get the most benefit out of the system. And the fundamental issue with that is whenever you claim early, that reduces your benefit and substantially so. So typically, the earliest you can start claiming Social Security is at 62, where most people's full retirement age is at 67. Now, those retiring now mostly the full retirement age is at 67. So that's 5 years earlier than what full retirement age is. And so, whenever you claim early, Social Security does reduce your benefit and there's a formula that they use to do that, but it ends up shaking out to be about a little over or a little under 7.5% per year. So if you claim 5 years early, that's almost 35-40% less benefit on a monthly basis that you would receive. And so that is a huge impact to your overall lifetime benefit. And so it needs to be a careful consideration if you're planning or wanting to claim earlier than your full retirement age benefit. Now, the inverse of that is true as well. So the maximum claiming age is age 70. So whenever you wait and delay claiming until 70, then Social Security will increase your benefit by the same factor. Again, it's roughly 7.5%. There's a formula they use to calculate it exactly. But if you wait, that's an additional, roughly 21, 22, 23% or so increase benefit every year. Now, that is good for your own self as well, but it also impacts your spouse's benefits potentially as well. So let's talk about the second thing, which is spousal benefits. And so spouses, a lot of times people are really confused about how do the spousal benefits work when it comes to Social Security. The spouse, if you both earn similar, then you probably end up taking your own Social Security. You'll end up taking your own Social Security because the spousal benefit is basically 50% or half of the primary earner's Social Security benefits. So if one spouse worked their entire career and the other spouse was a homemaker the entire career or their entire time, then that makes it pretty simple. The primary earner will receive their own benefit, and then the spouse will receive 50% of the primary earner's benefit. It's for a collective of 150% of the primary earner's benefit. So, for example, let's say Susie, for example, stayed home, watched the kids, and was a homemaker her entire life, and her husband Joe was worked for Disney, and he was maybe worked for Imagineering in Disney, and let's say he made on average $125,000 a year. So his benefit maybe would be around $2,600. Let's say his benefit is 25 or $2,600. Just for easy number sakes, let's say it's $2,600, $2,600 a year. So then that would then mean that Susie would be eligible, or $2,600 a month. That means Susie would be eligible for roughly $1,300 a month. So a collective of $3,900 a month coming from Social Security. That's how the spousal benefit works. And so um, we want to understand that as you're doing your retirement planning, because that's not an insignificant amount of money. Now, some people will say, well, will Social Security be there? And that's a whole other conversation for another time. But that's in essence how the spousal benefit works. And then the third component is, when's the right time to take Social Security, right? I get that question all the time. And my quip usually is, well, you tell me when you're going to die, and I'll be able to tell you when you should claim. And that's not a fun conversation. But when it comes to calculating that, I do think understanding one's health and one's family history and potential longevity. Typically, the statistics go: the older you live, the older you are, the longer you'll live. It's just how the math works out until you get kind of to your 90s, and obviously that's usually around the time where that does not be the case anymore. But I always like to assume for longevity, because if you end up living there, it matters that you still have income. If you end up not making it, probably doesn't matter to you anyways, right? Because you're no longer here. And so we want to understand the impact of longevity, and then that will then help us decide when's the right time to claim Social Security. We want to understand what the trade-offs are and what you're giving up. Typically, if you start early, you're giving up a good chunk of money over your lifetime if you end up living into your 80s or 90s. But if you pass away in your 70s, claiming early is probably the best way to go. But of course, nobody knows the hour that we might be called home, as they say. So when it comes to deciding when to claim Social Security, I think a lot of it has to do with your health and longevity. And the other component is just, do you need the income now or not to be able to retire? Sometimes people are forced to retire for health reasons. It's like 1 out of 4 people are forced to retire for health reasons. And maybe they weren't quite ready yet financially to be able to do that. So they need that income from Social Security. I get that. So we want to understand what your current situation is as well. And do you have other sources of income to be able to retire and live on, and be able to live how you would like to live, hopefully? Or do you need that income to start right away, and you just have to just, kind of say it is what it is and take the income now? But those are some considerations when it comes to Social Security, how to think about that, when to claim spousal benefits, and how age impacts the amount of Social Security that you have.